Hey there, everyone. Patty D here, your life coach, here today with Susan Glavin. Susan Glavin is the creator of Modern Day Mastery, and she is a spiritual type of person who's had a great deal of experience. I thought it would be perfect to talk to her since we are in such an interesting time. And here it is, we're living the human experience. And the human experience, a little bit dicey right now. So much uncertainty surrounding us. And the only thing that we can really remain certain with is what's inside of us. So, Susan, thanks so much for being with me here today.
Honey, it's an honor. And especially during these auspicious, times of the unknown, which, gosh, when have you been here in your lifetime? I know I certainly haven't. So it's like to see this global, what I would call awakening. And believe me, I go back and forth through, the awarenesses that I've researched and shared. I've been compelled to share with people, which is normally the way I do things, to being angry, to claiming my sovereignty, to being in a place of forgiveness for it all, and knowing this is all part of a perfect plan. I mean, that's my interpretation. And it's like, how do we show up as we ride these waves? And I'm sure many people are feeling those waves right now.
Right. And as we grow, it's chaos, and it's painful, and it's uncertain, all the buzzwords that are going on right now. Interesting. And, I remember when I was, just a teenager, I said to myself, I want to have an interesting life. And guess what? Guess what I ended up getting. But I have a lot of stories, and I share a lot of stories, and I talk to interesting people. And quite honestly, I tapped into my spirituality, early in life, because it was challenging, and it still is. But here it is. I ended up taking a walk the other day. I'm burning holes in my sneakers right now. Just because I just need to move, right? I think movement is going to be our best friend in getting whatever anxiety that we are having right now out of our system. And I was walking by the river, and there was a person sitting on the bench, head down, just almost like in thinking mode. And I just said, everything's okay. Everything's going to be okay. And he popped his head up, and he looked at me, and he said, that's exactly what I needed to hear right now.
Aww.
Right? So, I figured you are the creator of Modern Day Mastery. You help people align with their mastery. And to get to that, you have to go through the disorganization. You have to go through the chaos. And reassure people. Like, there's a serious reassurance that is required right now for humans out there. So let's talk about that.
You want to talk about the reassurance? Wow. Reassurance. God, that's an interesting question. Word. Reassurance, reassure. I guess for me, with the work that I've been delivered, and it literally was delivered to me, it's about us giving ourselves that reassurance. And from that place, we can then support others who maybe, like you did the other day with the man, you just knew to say, it's all going to be okay, and that comes from that inner knowing, that inner connection with what I call my holy self, my high holy self. That's how I connect to that. So, and I think we're in a great time of really embracing that, because I don't feel, for myself anyway, that that's ever left me. I feel like it's always been there. And what my intent now is to deeply embrace that and to live from that place. And that's part of what modern day mastery is. The thing that just gets is that people do not realize how powerful they are.
Oh, so true.
Ah, that's what just really got me. It was like they don't understand that they have the ability not only to affect their own personal environment here, but the environment all around them and beyond, because I think there's a ripple effect going on right now. And for me, it's as someone, that's been doing this work, I started, doing this work when I was born. and,
Oh.
and
It was challenging from out the gate, huh?
coming in, I came sliding in fast. So, yeah, and I was, my journey was to fix this broken, bad person that I thought I was. And then, which was amazing, where I was guided to go and continually am guided to go to this day. And what I want to share with all of you is that how you show up in the world, the words that you speak, are vibratory. They have a vibration that ripples out into the world of creation, which we are creating all the time, whether we know it or not.
Sure.
Right? And
co-creators we are.
Oh my gosh, we are just literally generating life with not only our words, our stories, our thoughts, and the emotions that we have that go along with those thoughts that we have. Now, I'm not saying that, the thoughts that we have that aren't uplifting are bad and wrong. I'm saying that when we can be aware of it. It was so funny because I was just talking to my daughter about this the other day. And she goes, Mom, I get this thought and then I just go and go. And it's like you go down that rabbit hole of your life. It's like, oh, help, it's like, help me. And I said, honey, I gotcha. I said, so what modern day mastery is about is to just be aware of it when it starts.
And catch it early.
Man. And I just say stop. I mean, I command stop.
Oh, that's interesting because I use the word clear.
Yeah. Isn't it great? It's whatever, clear, stop, whatever it is. But again, there's nothing bad or wrong. We're going to have those. Try not to.
Right.
But what I share in my course, and the course that I lead is very experiential. Okay. It's not about a new set of beliefs. Okay, we're trying to clear those babies out. It's like we've got such systems, belief systems set up that we operate in. And this is about you being true to you and looking underneath the layers and starting to see, wow, where did I pick that up anyway? Where did I pick up that belief anyway? When did that all happen? Usually as children. And we continue today to take on beliefs. I know I do, and I have to question them all the time. So it's really about being masters, having mastery in our lives, and then taking that mastery that we find here and then start rippling out that. And it's very fundamental. I mean, we're talking the words we speak, the stories that we tell. From most people, I'm not going to say the most, for a lot of people, are victim stories.
Interesting, Susan. I was going to ask you really, like, what have you found with the people that you've worked with, which I would have to suspect are men and women, right? Probably predominantly women.
Yes.
Right.
They see, I'm like, come on, ladies, let's gather.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I call it the inner work, and I've been thinking about that a lot, just as far as like a play on words, is how else I can talk about it. But, those are the words that I've always used, the inner work. And I find that women, predominantly sign up for doing that. But what do you find with the people that you've worked with that really trips them up? Like, is it past beliefs, past stories that they just can't get past? Like where, you know, I don't know if you can talk about that at all. Like where have you found a commonality with the people that you've worked with?
Well, it varies, you know, because I love working with groups because it's so rich, because we can, you know, share our stories with each other and learn from those. And that's what I love. It's such a rich dynamic. And besides the energy, once we start to bring those things to the forefront that no longer serve, that we realize they did serve us to a point. But
Mm-hmm.
when is it time for us to say, you know, it's time that let go of me, that it stepped back a little bit. Okay. And one of the things that was super cool, it was lunchtime during one of my retreats, and I was talking to a gal who flew in from California. I was delivering the course in Vancouver, Washington. And we were just chatting, and she started talking about her husband and how dysfunctional and how bad it was and how it affected her children. And I remember being a very active listening for her, which I think is so important. And that's
Sure.
part of the container we set up before we even start. And I just listened to her intently. And then I said, is there anything else? And she said, well, yeah. And she continued on with this story of being a victim of her life and how bad it was, and for her children. And I could really feel where she was at. And all of a sudden, Spirit said to me, and I looked at her and I said, okay, are you ready to put the end on that story? And that's where I actually went back in after lunch and brought that distinction that I had just discovered in a conversation to the rest of the group. And it was magical. I mean, I have a beautiful structure of things that I want to go through, but I have no agenda. Literally, I work with what's present in the room and what wants to come up. And one of the most beautiful processes we do is the forgiveness process. And I've actually seen people's physical face change after doing this process. It's very moving. It's very holy. It's a holy experience. I've had people, and how it came to me, and the whole structure with the music at the end, and the people being able to lay and weep and just release that. And it's forgiveness for themselves.
Sure.
That's where we go with this. And I had people leave, go, I am totally exhausted. I don't even know. And I'm like, could you drive? You know, are you okay? Yeah, I can drive. They go, but I've never felt better in my life. Like they feel liberated.
Such a release.
Such a release. So
we need that. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I just love it. It's one of my favorites. I have a lot of favorites, but that to me is so powerful. Yeah.
There's, you know, I love momentum. Live by it. I love to move, right? I love to move with my business, with my physical abilities, like however it is, I love movement. And there's, you know, a great deal of conversations going out there right now about momentum, right? When are we going to be opening again? There's all this curiosity, and it's all like bent up, you know, energy that really needs to flow. And so I would suspect that you are, you know, with your course, Modern Day Mastery, you help people align, because ultimately you need the alignment first before you get to the momentum. It's a little bit of a catch on words, but is there a way that you go about helping people align to get to that point where they are, you know, having that sense of release and forgiveness?
I would say so momentum is great, but I have a little different word for that, and it's being in the flow. Mm-hmm. What I know is that life, nature is always in the flow. The flow is happening all the time. It is humanity, us personally, that step out of the flow, or we resist the flow. We want a different story. We start, micromanaging, and we're out of it. We start to put up these parameters. It's kind of like going with the river, right? You've heard that a million times. So
Love the river.
for me, and I tell you, I'm one of those people that, I have been one of those people like, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to do this. It's going to work. I mean, I used to just bust through stuff. And I just learned that that's not as fun as just being in the flow. For me, I got to tell you, when this whole thing happened, I'm an avid meditator. I've had a dedication to that since I was 17. I have been a Kundalini practitioner for 3 years ongoingly. When this happened, I didn't do any of that.
Oh, wow.
Like nothing.
That's exactly when you need it.
Yeah, you would think, right? You would think, but I was like, I was just in this, I don't know anymore place.
Yeah, the I don't know is a kicker.
And I noticed myself, my critical, well, you should be doing, everybody else is doing projects, and everybody's doing they're taking this time to add value to their life, and their blah, blah. I mean, I had this whole thing. And what spirit came through as I was running that narrative and just watching it run said, give yourself some grace.
My favorite word.
Yeah, I know. I love it. And it was just like, that's when we need the grace. So if they always talk about self-love, right? Self-love. I mean, I get excited when I can like myself. I do. I get excited. Like I like myself. I like who I am. Now I've had moments of loving myself,
right,
but I'm not in that, I love myself. I just, it comes and goes. Okay?
Oh, you're killing me. That's funny.
Yeah. But so it's when we are in those dark places, what we would consider dark places in the womb. I think the darkness, I've done years and years of work with shadow work, which is always about the darkness. It's when we're in those dark places that we need the grace the most, when we need to, like a child who's hurt, what do? Shape it up. Come on, let's go. Snap out of it. No, right. You're going to be tender and nurturing and kind and loving. And that's, you're going
to be the way you are with your pets.
Yeah.
I've never uttered the words so much, but to Trip and Cleo, right? Picking them up, loving them. It's okay. Everything's okay. Of course, I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, right. You are. There's really nobody out there. So whoever you're giving advice to, I always say, you want to listen to that, right? It's like, you.
But you bring up a good point, Susan, and that is, I have gone from, okay, I'm going to start this YouTube channel and I'm rewriting my website. I mean, there are things that I'm choosing to do that I have found effective and are leaving me feeling better. Great. That's great. But I've also thought of having Zoom dance parties, getting the collective together to blow it out, blow off some steam. I'd give anything to be able to run these days, but those days are a bit gone. And so talk about like what you're doing right now and how you're utilizing this time, because it is a time, if you allow yourself to be. And doesn't that just kind of have a nice ring to it?
Yeah.
To just like be okay with where you're at. Be okay if you don't get anything accomplished. I mean, can we accomplish? Of course we can. We know we can. Like, look at the world around us. But, I think there's a lot of permission that can be granted, like not only from within, but, to the people around us, like, it's okay. I mean, I don't necessarily buy into the conversation of, staying in my pajamas all day, but shit, if it makes you feel good,
You don't want me to stand up right now. I'll just put it that way.
See, my psychic ability was
Eddie,
kicking in and telling me something.
Right. This is the second time since I've been, okay, so I stopped working March 17th. This is the second time I put makeup on.
Oh, well, you know, I can't help myself.
No.
Like that, I wake up, I have the morning routine, you know, but I'm always going out walking about. But that's actually not true, because there have been a couple of days where it's like, you know what, don't need to.
Like, this is kind of fun. I'm
It's
like,
all right.
wow, this is okay. I mean, that was my biggest task this morning, was putting my makeup on, okay, just to be on this call. I thought,
Well, you look beautiful.
Well, thanks, honey. So back to your question, what have I been doing? And I recently, and this was so interesting, talk about being led by spirit and trusting the journey, because I decided to move in with my daughter prior to this happening, prior to the time where they shut everything down.
Blessing.
And I remember because I'm going to break ground on my house pretty soon. And we thought, Mom, she goes, you can help me out. You can help with the boys. And then when your house is, and I said, oh, and I had to sit with it for a minute. I was like, And I thought, okay. And then I thought, well, do what you teach, right?
Sure.
My intent. So I looked to see what would be my intent. And my intent was that we would deepen our connection and support and empower each other. And I know how powerful our intent, and I would say more so now than ever, to be really clear about your intent. It's not a goal, it's an intent. You can see that was pretty open but specific at the same time. So what I have been doing is nurturing my daughter and my grandsons. I have cooked more in the last month than I have in 3 years, not kidding. And it's been wonderful to care for them and feed them food that's yummy and nourishing, and just take care. I'm a double cancer. So it's like that part of me has been I haven't had the opportunity to really do that other than with my clients, but to do it with your daughter has been really beautiful. And let me tell you, we've had a couple rubs that were pretty chaotic and pretty emotional for both of us. But then again, my intent is already there. So that energy's already set before me. So I know, working with people, especially in groups, when the chaos comes up, to let it move. Don't stop it. Just continue to show up, share your heart, share what you're feeling, and I'm telling you, every time we've made it through this, it's like we're kissing, she was apologizing, Mom, I'm so sorry. And I said, honey, that's okay. We're here together. We're going to work through this. We're going to heal. We're going to, create a space for others, because I believe I believe that the conversation we're having now is impacting the world. I believe that the experience my daughter and I had will impact the world. That will ripple out. That's what I know. It's not that I believe, I literally know, because I've experienced it so many times in my life. That's how powerful we are.
That's true.
It. Yeah.
Love that. Susan, tell everyone how, because you've worked with some pretty amazing people.
Yeah.
And they, quite honestly, I've worked with a couple myself, but if we start tallying it up, you have me beat.
Yeah. Like I said, I just, what I really appreciate about myself is that I follow the signs.
Love the breadcrumbs.
Yeah. I one after another. And I'm telling you and that's why I'm talking about being in the flow and just being open, not having an agenda. It has to be this way. And, I was guided. First thing I did was the S training in the 80s, early 80s with Werner Erhard. I went through their entire program, years. It was amazing. It was like taking the red pill. Okay. Like once you set sail on that one, there's no turning back. It's like you're going. And then I was guided to meet with Debbie Ford. She wrote The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, amazing mentor. And I was scared to death of her when I first went in there. I remember going into the 3-day shadow process. I flew to Santa Barbara, walked in the room and started to weep. I didn't know why, but 8 years later, I knew why. And she still, to this day, comes through to me.
Wow.
Still gives me messages, because she passed away when I was in India a few years ago. So then I went on to, I mean, the list goes on. Greg Braden, went to Machu Picchu with him. It was extraordinary. Bruce Lipton.
Such an amazing place. I've been there.
It's, I've been to Egypt. I've just traveled the world and sat with some amazing people. And most importantly, the experiences of these sacred places absolutely shifted my trajectory and my purpose, which has never changed from doing work with Debbie Ford years and years and years ago, which was to inspire and support others in being the greatest expression of who they truly are. So it's like, yeah.
Well, here it is. We're all made of greatness, right?
Yes.
We know that. We're all made of greatness, and we're all made for one great end.
Yes.
And I'll look forward to it when I get there, but I'll look to express it, while I'm here. But it's interesting because I knew that from when I was a kid. And I actually wrote that in my grade school yearbook. It was like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And it was like, I don't know, but I know it's going to be great. Like Tony the Tiger commercials or something. Like,
Right?
Jesus,
Right?
but here it is. I love setting the stage for this YouTube channel, just to come across really cool conversations with people that quite honestly are ordinary, right? We are not the Dalai Lamas of the world, right? We are everyday working people, living our lives, showing up for ourselves and showing up for others. Now, where we're different is that, I don't have the family or the kids or the grandkids, right? So when it comes to, individuals out there, if they stumble across this and take a listen, right? When you're living alone, you have to build up that much more stamina, right? And being resilient within yourself, and know, like if I'm having a bad day, I'm the only one that I can blame for my bad day, right? I am the janitor and the CEO of my life, and I can choose to be in a different space. I just have to change the energy. I have to change the conversation of the 60,000 thoughts that are going through my head on a daily basis that leave me exhausted by 9 p.m. Right. And I have, I'm an empath. Of course, there's, I'm empathetic. I think the two of them are distinctively different. But really what I want to do at this point, and I've been pondering this, it's like, I want to have courage for others at this point. I want to be able to say to that man who was obviously in a really bad space, you know what, it's going to be okay. And by the way, start meditating.
Hey, heads up, right?
Right. Like, and then as soon as I walked away, like he went back to that spot on the park bench where he was putting his head down. And I had turned around to take another glimpse at him. And I was like, head up, look up, look up. And he was like, oh, like he even caught himself. He knew he was going right back. Like, this is so fucking strong. Pardon my expression. Like, our minds are so in a groove where it's like, this is our life, everybody. Like, this is it. I mean, we might come back for a couple more, but we're going to have someone that knows about past live regression to
Right.
get us clued into that life that we just split. So it's like, take it, right?
That's
Live it to the best of your ability, and like love on yourself like you have never loved yourself before. Be soft, be strong, show up for yourself, because if you show up for yourselves, like, and Nicole, so
yes.
I was talking to Nicole, you can grab whatever you want to put on in the morning, right? You can suit up however you want to suit up. Have fun with it. That's something that the Enneagram is all about, right?
Right.
With like different types. And if you don't like who you were yesterday, show someone different today.
Right. Yeah. And, I think it's just unprecedented right now that we have the time to be, there's really nothing to do. And I think that can serve us all in such a beautiful way. And I know a lot of people are having a hard time with that. I know I do. I can't go meet my friends for a glass of wine or a nice dinner. So for me, it's like we're having this opportunity. And for people that aren't aware of this, which is fine, there's nothing good, bad, right or wrong about any of this. That's really how I hold a lot of this. They're going to have an opportunity to maybe see something or have something available to them that wasn't available before. And I think that's what's happening. And I think the people that are they've been the front runners, because there were people in front of me. Let me tell you, I had so many amazing teachers and mentors that led my way so that I could, embrace the parts
Love
of
that.
me that were broken and hidden. And I think the shadow has amazing gifts for us all. And that's what I always say, the seemingly dualities, the seemingly good, bad, right, and wrong, positive or negative. If we can, which Spirit told me years ago, include it all. And I was like, what? I go, how can you? And it was like, include it all, because if we can, because that separates, judgment separates us all. So if we can just look at it from a different place and include it, we may not agree with it, but can we include it?
Right.
Can we bring it together? And what I've experienced from that place, there's something becomes possible that would have otherwise been hidden. So I think that's we have that opportunity right now. And, to think that we got to be a particular way all the time, please. Nature's not a particular way all the time. Nature moves through phases, with the winter and the cold and the losing, growing those spring to growing up this new growth and then leaving it, letting it go. So, nature's such a beautiful model for us. And my intent is that we come together and we connect and we collaborate and we support and we empower each other like we've never known before. It's kind of like, my intent is to meet my champion, and I've had this, and it's like, the thing is, and when you try and figure out what that is I don't know what that is. I don't know what that kind of partnership looks like yet, because I haven't experienced it.
The unknown.
Yes.
The mighty unknown.
Open.
Yeah. It was interesting. I was in Ojai, which is such an amazing place, such a spiritual vortex. I love it there. Like, I love it there. And I was staying at a woman's studio that was furnished downstairs. I had just met her, and she was like, if you want to stay a while longer, please stay. And I ended up staying there another 3 weeks. And I had a dream while I was there. And when I woke up, it was like, you'll connect the known to the unknown. And I of course, I'm speaking about it, so I still remember it. And there's unknown all around us that we can't see that clearly is there, right? You have to believe to see, type of thing. But there's also the unknown within inside of us, right? And it's going into those places that, and I don't want to make this sound like work. It's more of a curiosity and a discovery for me, right?
Yes.
It's about catching yourself and then wondering, or writing something down before you go to bed that you want some insight on, or quite honestly, like talking to your executive center, the forefront of your brain, talking to your subconscious, which quite honestly fucking rules everything. Right. I think I got a little Jersey in me today or something, but through that process, you really do feel like unsafe, right? Because you're going into areas that are there because you didn't feel safe. And a lot of people are not feeling safe right now. And I get it. And the only way that I know to get to that point of stillness is to breathe, and it's so Winnie the Pooh. I love Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, I love Winnie the Pooh.
I'd rather take Winnie the Pooh than Tigger, not Tigger, I love Tigger, than Eeyore. I was going to say Eeyore. Where's my tail? But it's just so simple. And it's knowing that you're here and that you're loved and you're surrounded by people that guides, angels, pick your flavor, right? Universe, source, God, Buddha, you can have them all if you want, right? But knowing that you can tap into that vibration, and I'm not talking smack here because I've done it.
Right.
You can experience it. And quite honestly, when you do, you don't want to leave. And it tends to linger for a while. And I'm sure that you've experienced that, because it's like it lingers, and then when it starts to fade away, that's when the breakdown comes. because it's like, that just felt so good, I want to go back.
Yeah, I want more.
Anyway,
hanging on. Hell no.
Right. So I kind of went off on a tangent there, but it's just an interesting conversation, and it's an interesting time. And if there's anything to instill, it's just that sound counsel of courage, right? It's the courage to explore. It's the courage to, make the choice to discover yourself. Take a course if you can take a course, right? Yours is yours would be like the perfect one to align right now and take at this point. There's so many things that you can do, but just to kind of wrap up a little bit here, Susan, I mean, like, add anything that you would like to add.
Yeah, thank you, sweetie. Yeah, so much wonderful information that you've shared for people too, and thank you for that. And being who you are on the planet today, I appreciate that. It has been such a joy to connect with a sister. Okay, I have to say, I love my sisters, and it's like, yay, I got another sister on the team.
Thank you.
You talk about courage. It's so interesting because, and I have my A team. I have the most amazing team of angels and guides and ascended masters and star beings and my ancestors that I connect with, that are always with me. And I'm so, so grateful for them and their support. But I remember it was a few years ago, and I had a question. And it was like, okay. And I was walking in nature, and I say things out loud a lot of the times, especially in nature. If I have a question, I say it out loud.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, so I'm a little confused about something. So here's the question. do we have a destiny, or are we creating our life as we go? I mean, there was a split there for me. Like, we either came in here with a mission or a destiny, or we're creating this as we go. Now, I think there can be a blend in there, but at that time, I didn't know. Finished my walk, went home to my condo, and I was sitting, and rarely did I watch TV. Wasn't even on the computer much. Now it seems like I'm living there, but anyway, but that's okay. And so I was sitting, I thought, oh, I'll just, yeah, it was kind of boring. I thought, I'll just watch a little show. So I put on this movie, and it was this love story, right? And I'm watching it, and at the very end of it, during the credits, and I wish I could remember the name of the movie, because I would actually go back and see if that was actually in there. Because what was said as the credits were going was, we all have a destiny, but not everybody has the courage to follow it.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, the hair stands up on my arms now. I was like, oh, I think that was for me. I was like, wow. And that's actually on my website. That's one of the lines. And it takes, like you said, it takes a great amount of courage to examine one's life, to examine one's behaviors, to examine one's beliefs. It takes a lot, and it takes a lot to go through what I call the eyes of the needle, these initiations, which sometimes will, I know for me, have brought me to my knees. But when I got to the other side of that, there was more of my authentic self available. The genuine Susan, label Susan, was more present. There was more of me available. So for me, one of my favorite poems is Rumi, The Guest House. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I don't know it. I know Rumi, of course, but I don't know the poem.
Yes, it just spoke to me about these energies, these people that come to our door, and invite them in, even if they sweep your house of all your furniture, everything you have, invite them in, welcome them, because they have something for you that wasn't available before that chaos. So again, if we can invite it and view our life as not, this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong.
No labels.
If we can just include it and be, like you said, curious about, we're a great mystery. This is a great mystery.
The human experience.
Exactly. And it's like, it is such, and I think that's what we're really getting. A lot of us are all, oh, I'm a spiritual being, and there's this, and it's like, well, you're a human being too. So what is that experience? How are you going to bring the human experience into your life? And how are you going to do that?
Lovely. How can people find you, Susan?
Well, they can go to my website, susanglavin.com. I do have a retreat coming up in June at the Trout Lake Abbey, which is a magical, magical place. That's still on right now.
Great. Good. Happy to hear it.
Yeah, and I just finished my online course, so it's all available with Kundalini practices, breath work, each distinction, which I'm really excited about. That's being edited and all that fun stuff right now. So
awesome. So you're going to stay on. I'm going to wrap up with everyone, and the message is clear. Love on yourself. Love on yourself like you've never loved yourself before. Know that someone's thinking about you. This is Patty D, your life coach, sending lots of love, wishing you nothing but the best. Take care.